We're going to get a Canadian perspective on how things should be done, could be done, and if Alan and Howard have their way and the rest of the team will be done. And we've done this before in previous conferences. We've taken experiences from other countries and tried to apply them here, and I think people have found that very inspirational. So I have no reason to believe that today will be any different. We'll hear very shortly from Nancy Arsenault from Tourism Café Canada. But before Nancy, let's hear from Paul Nursey, who's Vice President of Strategy and Corporate Communications with the Canadian Tourism Commission. Paul has over 15 years of tourism-related leadership and management experience with the CTC. He holds degrees in economics and regional planning from Simon Fraser University and has completed executive development and tourism program from the University of Hawaii, Manoa. He's got a huge range of experience with a vast number of organisations like Rocky Mountaineer Rail Tours, Mount Seymour Resorts, Tourism Vancouver and the Greater Vancouver Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I think we'll hear a lot of his experience over the next 20-25 minutes. Will you welcome, please, the first of our keynote speakers today, Paul Nursey.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Yep, sounds like that's working well. I'm actually going to not stand at the podium because I'm so short, you might actually not be able to see me. So for the sake of everyone's benefit, I'll just wander around the stage. I travel a lot. It's a very, very busy travel week. I actually looked at myself in the mirror and realized I really, really need a haircut. And I thought I looked a little bit like a bit of a lion. And since it's lambing season, I saw on TV today, and that could be an experience that you could develop. As the whole thing around lambing experiences. I thought on my taxi out to the airport, I may actually scare some baby lambs. So when I leave today, I may actually be ducking just for the sake of the wee lambs. Anyways, I'm here to share our experience in Canada. It has been about a 10 or 12-year journey, and we've done well in Canada from a revenue perspective, and I think it's because of a lot of really focused effort. We do have challenges, and I'll speak quite openly and candidly to some of our challenges which we're working hard to overcome, because we do have a lot of structural impediments to success in Canada, but I think it's our ability to compete, collaborate, work together to try and overcome those around a very sound strategy, and really the alignment and partnership that has helped define some of our modest success. So here's what we're going to cover in the next 20 minutes. I won't spend too much time on that. But who am I and who are we? We are Canada's National Tourism Marketing Organization. We're headquartered in the west coast of the country. There's a very strong creative marketing and digital economy in Vancouver, so I think that helps us attract some very good talent. We do above-the-line and below-the-line advertising in 10 countries, and we still have a small investment in the United States. But our vision is really to inspire the world to explore Canada. So we are marketers. And our talk around experiences and experiential tourism is really kind of the product placement P in the 4 Ps of marketing if you're a classically trained marketer. So at the end of the day, we are marketers, we are researchers. We don't really do investments in hard tourism and infrastructure investments, but we very much influence that by creating tension and helping to bring experiences into the marketplace. So that's our positioning, our brand, our logo. We actually didn't have a very good tourism brand until about 2004. We started a brand journey. The notion of a huge, diverse country like Canada having a cohesive brand where the regions and different languages and different ethnic groups, because we do have those tensions in Canada as well. Maybe not as much, you may not be aware of them, but we have almost split apart a couple times. We have linguistic differences. We have some, any kind of differences that you have in a broad federation. So the idea of a broad national tourism brand was actually foreign. We were very much 10 years ago a granting agency where we would write checks to other levels of government and they would go do their own marketing under their own brand. But we realized that we had to come together and speak about what Canada can offer, and it truly is an experiential tourism brand. The proof of a life less ordinary is our brand promise, and really it's about the essence of exploration and discovery and self-discovery and visitors taking away those magical moments. And that's something that we can own and something that we can compete on, and I think that we have. Why this is important is empirical research shows, and this is a slide showing Canada as a tourism brand, And then some of our sub-regions, Ontario, BC, Quebec, and Alberta, our 4 biggest provinces, some of which you may have heard of. This is something called unaided destination awareness. And for you market research geeks, you'll know what that means. But really what that means is, what is your innate awareness level of that place? So in the world, in the 11 markets that we research, there's unaided destination awareness, or unprompted awareness, of Canada at 18.7%. It's actually gone up to over 21% in this year's results. But all of our largest provinces, who all have big brands themselves and own considerable marketing budgets, their unaided destination awareness is actually less than 1%. When I go to Mexico for my winter break, my little respite from the Canadian winter, I go to Mexico. I might go to a resort like Cancun, but I have no idea, nor do I care about what state I go to. Cancun's in Quinto Roo, somewhere else is in Guerrero. I don't know these kind of arbitrary creations, political creations, so it's very difficult for those brands to market themselves. So we realized the importance and the power of marketing together under the Canada Tourism brand, but we couldn't just say that and throw up a slide and say this is important. We had to inspire with a very strong strategy, a research-based strategy, very strong delivery, so that the industry would align behind us, because alignment isn't something that's just given, it's actually earned. This is a very important marketing insight. Us marketers, we always talk about insights and takeaways and kind of fancy jargon. But this is from a company we hired in 2008 to measure the value and perception of Canada's tourism brand before the Winter Games, which we hosted in 2010, then after. And when they were doing their pre-work, they gave us many insights, but I think this is the most important insight of all. So this is a company called Interbrand. And they specialize in measuring brand evaluation across all sorts of categories, 1,500 brands they've measured, and they largely build their business on measuring brands as a line item in balance sheets, so that when mergers and acquisitions happen, either friendly mergers or unfriendly mergers, they know how to recognize the value of the brand. So they have great empirical methodology to actually measure and monetize a brand. So they measure and monetize brands from pure commodities like table salt, all the way up through extreme brands such as women's handbags like Chanel or Coach, where you buy because of the brand and almost exclusively because of the brand. So in measuring Canada's tourism brand and the relative importance in the decision-making process, 58% of the decision to come to Canada was because of their perception of the idea of Canada, not because of the hotel or the whitewater rafting experience or the airline or the attraction. It was the idea of the destination. It was higher than their empirical evidence for hotel chains, but below luxury goods such as women's handbags and, ironically, beverages. Beverages have a very high brand, but the importance of a brand is very, very important in a traveler's decision. We also know that we have intensified competition. The world is opening up. There are new destinations on the map, and I'll get to this in a minute, that we weren't competing against before. Everyone understands the value of tourism, what it can do for social economic development, what it can do for tax bases, how it can get people off unemployment rolls, do regional local economic development. So from a public policy perspective, there's global investment in tourism, product development, and marketing like never before. So the only way that we can compete is not to outspend, but to outsmart our competition. And here's why. The world is opening up. In 1950, Canada was the #2 ranked country in the world in terms of visitor arrivals. That's because travel wasn't really a basic human right as it is now. Not even a human right, but a human, only the very rich could go. Traveling over water was very challenging. And of the top 15 countries in terms of arrivals, that represented 97% of the share. We reached our zenith in terms of arrivals from pure arrival numbers in 1996. We've actually been on a decline in terms of volume since 1996. Some countries more than others, and other emerging economies are growing. But as we have slipped down the rankings in terms of pure arrivals, it's really because the pie has opened up. The top 15 represent only 56% of arrivals. There's more competition, there's more choice. We're actually number 18 in terms of arrival. So globally, the category of tourism is growing, but Canada hasn't been getting its share in terms of arrivals. That's an index, so it baselines everything at 100. So, trends are kind of over-exaggerated a little bit. So we had to shift our focus. If we weren't going to compete on volume, we had to compete on yield. Ultimately, our job is to drive export tourism revenue. We call it OPM, other people's money, new money into the economy, which creates value. Tourism is actually Canada's largest service sector export. We have very strong management consulting, IT consulting, but tourism is Canada's largest service sector export. I think if you looked in your statistical department, you might find something similar for Northern Ireland as well too. So again, trendy destinations, emerging countries. People want to go to Brazil, India, China, places they've never been before. If you look at the United Nations World Tourism Organization, tourism will grow and will double by 2030. But Europe and North America will not see that growth in terms of volume. They will see a much smaller growth. So we have to compete on quality and we have to compete on yield. Do we know it's working? This is a complicated slide and I won't spend too much time on it because the next one is really where the payoff is. But we tried to see, we've been on this experiential journey and we've had a very rapidly appreciating Canadian dollar. So even as our arrivals have decreased in absolute terms or stayed relatively static, we've been maintaining our share. And this is the depreciation of the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. So back when I used to work managing trains in 1996 through 2000, on a very famous train called the Rocky Mountaineer, which is a luxury train that goes through the Canadian Rockies, it used to be filled of American travelers who were buying at a 40% discount because the Canadian dollar was trading at 60 cents on the dollar. So Canada was on sale. There was no passport requirements to cross the border. It was way too easy for us. We didn't really have to compete on value. It was just, we call them the salad days. Very, very easy business. But when you look at our results in terms of revenue from a US dollar perspective, because that's how all the global tourism metrics are calculated, this is why I think experiential tourism and our focus on brand and our focus on differentiation actually matters. We started our brand journey research in 2004, 2005. We rolled out our visual identity in 2007. By the time we had to integrate into trade and distribution channels, it was really 2008, just in time for a global financial crisis. I mean, isn't that perfect timing? But we recovered quickly. We didn't go down as far as our competitors, and our recovery has been very robust. So I like to call this the brand premium. That's that delta between kind of slow recovery that many of our consumers or our competitors have seen, even in our very challenged US market, there's a delta. So I know every year we measure our advertising campaigns and we see lift in brand scores. Globally, I'll show you some lift in brand scores and rankings like the Global Future Brand Ranking. But if you ask, is this journey of experiential tourism, and I'll take it a step larger, kind of a brand-focused experiential tourism, worth it? I'd say the proof is in the pudding because we're starting to see the payoff in this brand premium from about 2008 on. It took us about 4 years to conceptualize the idea, really start to work it into our own materials. We're still aligning our industry, and everyone is still working on it. It's still very much a work in progress. But we have customers who are staying longer, spending more, and even though we're challenged from a volume perspective, our yield is very, very strong. Canada's an expensive destination, but there's tremendous value. We have very, very high repeat rates, and we have very, very high customer satisfactions. So our challenge as marketers is to get people to trial once, because once we know that they've trialed and come to Canada the first time, they'll come back again. So, and we compete on an experiential brand. This is what was referenced earlier with Canada's #1 future brand ranking. This is a ranking that we really like. There's all sorts of brand rankings, nation brand rankings out there. Simon Anholt has a famous one. Future Brand is the one that we really like because it measures brand rankings across 5 dimensions, and tourism is one of 5 dimensions. And within that, there's very strong experiential foundations like dining, nightlife, authenticity, and there's a whole bunch of dimensions that are measured. And it's a very robust quantitative and qualitative assessment of perceptions around the world. So we rolled out our brand in 2007. So Canada already has very strong awareness. But we moved up the ranking. Our first year, our Canada Keep Exploring brand hit the market. And then we've been really competing and switching between 1 and 2. 2009 was kind of the Obama effect when the US was shiny and new again. But we are really, really doing well in the tourism brand experience ranking. And we're seeing it in our own advertising surveys, and we're starting to see that brand premium. Canada also has the #1 ranking in terms of the Reputation Institute, in terms of how would you recommend a country in terms of visitation, to live with and also to invest. We now have our Foreign Affairs Department, we have our investment branch coming to us looking for branding ideas to help build depth and dimension to their broader messages about investing, studying, and immigrating to Canada. But we're still the number 18th place to visit in terms of arrivals. So we have some work to do, because experiential tourism is great at driving value and driving yield. We still have to get visitors through the front door. Our biggest challenge as marketers is Canada has very, very high awareness in our core markets, and but we're viewed as a safe destination that's always going to be there. You know, I might want to go to Vietnam because it sounds really sexy and all my friends are going. I can come to Canada sometime before I die. Or, you know, other countries like Australia also suffer from the same challenge, and I suspect Ireland and Northern Ireland might suffer from the same challenge as well too. It's a safe destination. It's on the bucket list, but why do I want to go this year? Really, we have some perception issues. You know, across authenticity areas, like local flavors, today's traveler is demanding that local authenticity. They're absolutely demanding it. They don't want to just see anymore, they want to experience the local lifestyles. So the perception leader in our competitive set is generally New Zealand and Australia, and they're indexing quite high, and we have a big gap. So to succeed in moving people down that path to purchase, we've got to add value in our messaging and also take to market more aggressively this whole notion of experiential traveler if we're going to keep delivering on that promise. In essence, there is no Canadian movie in their head. If I ask you to think about Canada, you can probably think about 2 or 3 icons, mostly nature-based icons. But if I asked you what could you do for a week vacation, where you're going to have to travel across the Atlantic, hey, you can be a focus group for me, this is fantastic. You might not be able to fill in the gaps of what you're able to do, and that's where experiential tourism and adding depth, dimension, and context really helps drive that home. So this is how Canada positioned itself historically. The good news about the Canadian tourism brand is that we've been marketing for over 100 years. We were created as a nation in 1867. The railway brought us together. Our country is naturally spectacular, and the person who built the railway said, when getting to Banff National Park, saying, if we can't export the scenery, we'll import the tourists. And that helped bring the liners, the Canadian Pacific liners, many of them who departed from here, bringing tourists and immigrants into Canada and North America. We have a very mature understanding, but it's all nature-based or train-based. And you know, this is only 10 years ago. We positioned Canada as Canada's Rocky Mountain playground. And that's great, it's beautiful, but how is that differentiated from anywhere else? And also, our research told us something quite unique. To us, we were raised in a Canadian context, and this looks like a lot of fun. To many of our European and Asian customers, that actually scares them, because they don't know that the 5-star resort is just around the corner. Or this shot was taken from a highway. They're thinking we're going to drop these people in the middle of nowhere, and they may actually die. So, you know, that's why understanding your customer segments, understanding the travel motivators is very, very important. So this is our marketing probably circa 2002. So again, our marketing challenge is to move people from awareness to conversion. Back to 58%, importance of the decision making, because it's hugely important. And then this is also kind of a trick in advertising. You need to connect emotionally with customers. We always talk about features and benefits as salespeople. Really, marketing research tells us you have to provide an emotional connection to get people to move down that path to purchase. Again, that's where experiential tourism can help, because it's creating that bond that I want to see that, I want to taste that, I want to smell that, I want to touch that, I want to get behind the scenes. That's the payoff for me. This is in your book, so I won't spend too much time on it, but really what we realized in doing a lot of research and synthesizing a lot of research is that the experience is the overlap between the culture, the people, and the geography. Because traditional tourism marketing will focus on some of these 3 elements, but the overlap is the sweet spot. So what does this mean? What does this mean to you as business owners, and what does this mean to a marketing entity such as the Northern Ireland Tourism Board? I'm not going to spend too much time in terms of what it means as a tourism operator, because that's really Nancy's detailed expertise, but I'm going to surface it just to set up our Signature Experiences program. We talked a lot about this, and we penned it and put it into our toolkit in 2007, but it really is a nice, succinct way to differentiate between a product and a service. You buy a ticket is a product, and experience is what you remember. Again, that emotional connection. Because this is the traditional view of tourists. But let me tell you, tourists have changed. They're not here to see anymore, they're here to do. Tourists want off the bus, no matter what country they come from. They want to engage in the local community, and that's a great opportunity for all business operators. Again, I'll just surface this. It's about making those connections, sharing your story, and everyone has a story, and making people a part of what's going on. People have a lot of stress. People work very, very, very hard. When I first arrived here yesterday, the internet wasn't working, or the day before yesterday, but it got corrected. So when I went for a walk in the gardens, I saw the birds chirping, and I saw the beautiful grounds, but I couldn't enjoy them because I was stressed. I was stressed because I'm a busy executive and I need to be plugged in. That got resolved, and now I could take it in. So when you take care of the basics, you're able to raise people to that higher level of experiential connectivity. And they want to explore, they want to experience a life less ordinary. People work very, very hard. Those that can afford international travel work extremely hard, and they need something that's unique and compelling to them. That's where segmentation comes in, and I'll speak a little bit about that as well. Experience fulfill this desire and differentiate you so you can better compete. You all have a story. Everyone here who's a business operator or representing a small town or village or council or a special interest group, you do have a competitive advantage, and you need to just leverage that and compete and tell that story. What we've also learned is that these things are very PRable. Again, marketing jargon. These are the things that are on Oprah's cool things to do. These are the types of things that get into Condé Nast Traveler. These are the things that attract customers to read about the media, or the media to read about it, so the trendsetters come. So in a few years later, the mass tourists will come, or in broader numbers. So you need those things that we call thin edge of the wedge, that really are PRable, are unique, differentiated, and tell a fantastic story, because the world's media need to fill content 24/7 as well too. So I'm not really going to spend too much time on this, because this is our segmentation. Alan did a very good job of talking about segmentation in the Northern Ireland context, other than to say that in Canada we've worked very, very hard on psychographic and social values-based segmentation to understand who our best prospects are, just like Northern Ireland understands who their best prospects are. So we've identified our best prospects. They all have great names because they're market segmentations. We've identified 9 tribes of people who travel around the world, or some that actually don't travel. They think they travel, but they actually don't. They watch Discovery Channel on their big screen TV, and to them that's traveler. So we're not marketing to them. So when National Geographic calls me and says, do I really want to buy broadcast? I'm like, no, because that's these guys. So these 3 are our best: the free spirits, the cultural explorers, and the authentic experiencers. They are the most resilient to travel. They all have high passport ownership. And in a country like the United States, which is our biggest source market, that's an issue. So within that big 300 million person economy, we need to know that only 33 million actually own passports, and of those, who are our best travelers. And more importantly, these are the types of people, for various reasons amongst them, they place a premium on travel and high-end experiential travel. They will make choices to travel when maybe they should be putting money into consumer durables like a new washing machine, or they'll let their car go from 5 years to 7 years old if they can take their trip. So these are the people that are most resilient in times of shock to continue to travel. We also defined 5 unique selling propositions or thematic themes. So I'm starting to see some parallels between Northern Ireland and Canada. 5 themes in Northern Ireland, 5 themes in Canada. Fantastic. They're different, but this is a very good exercise to go through, and this is something I led in 2008 with all of our provinces and our Aboriginal community. What are these 5 pillars that we can try to own or should own to deliver on our brand promise? And we've defined vibrant cities on the edge of nature. That's a uniquely Canadian proposition. Huge metropolitan cities. 1 foot you're in beautiful nature, 1 foot you're in a vibrant city. Personal journeys by land, air, water, and rail. Canada's a vast, huge country, so the motion and the journey is very much part of the experience. We've been spending time amongst active adventure in natural wonders. So this is really the soft adventure, or maybe even the hard adventure, but in an awe-inspiring setting. That authenticity in the local cuisine, our cuisine rankings have gone up massively in the last 5 to 6 years, and that's because we focused on them. And connecting with Canadians is that storytelling piece. It's the payoff of coming to Canada. You get that local engagement, that sharing, and that's what you remember. So you may not be drawn to Canada because of that, but that's your takeaway and what you advocate. So very, very important. And why this is very important is because we market, all of our provinces market, our cities market, the private sector markets, and if we're not aligned behind some unique selling proposition, there's a lot of marketing money which is out there with an unfocused marketing and communications message. So by anchoring around these 5 pillars, we're able to actually focus and harness a big, broad industry and making sure that money isn't wasted, and we're building brand equity along 5 thematic areas. So what's the next step in our evolution is we know there's a value proposition in focusing on experiential tourism. We know who our best customers are. In fact, through research and really cool research products, we actually know where they live. It's a little creepy, but we know where they live and we know what media they like to buy. And we also know how they like to behave and what motivates them. So how do we commercialize that? And where that comes to life is the Signature Experiences collection. So what we want to do is put the right experience in front of the right person at the right time to get them to buy. So it all comes to life through the Signature Experiences collection. And what it is a commonly used inventory of brand-aligned experiences that convey the brand promise at all of its touch points. So essentially, it's an inventory, it's a collection, and it's an applications-based collection. In fact, we were very brave because we pick winners. We are the national tourism organization in a country of 33 million where there's 10,000 export-oriented businesses, and we're picking about 200 to represent our brand. Very bold for a tax-funded organization. We were all very nervous the day before it launched, but we knew it was a very sound strategy. We needed to do it because these are the businesses that deliver on the brand promise to our customer segments and act as metaphors for the rest of the economy that we can help sell people to come to Canada. So it is criteria-based. They do have to respond to the needs of our segments. They do have to meet international demand. So what that means is offering net rates, being export-ready, as we call it, be trade-friendly, be willing to host international media, all that kind of stuff. Because if you're not interested in hosting the international customer, well, then why am I going to promote you? Quite frankly, why am I going to put my risk, my skin in the game? So again, very strict application criteria. The bar is set very high, and it should be. As their own organization, they need to practice a very high standard of marketing. And this used to be the tallest building in the world before somewhere in Dubai made a really big building. This is a CN Tower in Toronto, and now they've raised the bar on their experience by not only having people come in and look out a window. A few years ago, they built glass floors, which scares the living daylights out of me. But for those who are even a new level of crazy, they can actually go outside and walk around the perimeter of the world's tallest building. There's actually planes coming into land beside them. But that's very PRable. We got Oprah up doing there, we got a whole bunch of people, and that acts as a metaphor to help position Canada as being very exciting for those free spirits. If I'm a free spirit, I want to do this. I'm not a free spirit, I don't want to do this. I may pass out just even putting so what an experience is not is an itinerary. It's not features and benefits. We've got new flat screen TVs. My favorite is I've got 2 queen beds and free internet. How is that differentiated? So when you're running your own business, think about how you position and communicate your product and how that helps deliver on the experiential promise. So at a high level, here are the program benefits. Industry is able to generate more international demand for Canadian experiences because we're able to communicate as the national tourism marketer a better story to our customers who we know are most likely to come to Canada. Our experienced suppliers, the ones that are in the Signature Experiences collection, have incredible bragging rights. They have a great business reputation. This is not a quality assurance program, it is a marketing program, but they get the side benefit of being able to put the sticker on the door that say, I'm a Signature Experience. What we have found very, very interesting is that the travel trade distribution system has embraced this thoroughly. Receptive tour operators, for those involved in international export of tourism, have packaged the Signature Experiences collection as a collection, incorporated Signature Experiences members into their itineraries to help raise the bar of of positioning Canada internationally. And for ourselves as an organization, it's really helped us be relevant to those small communities, small businesses, individual businesses, and ironically, we're being viewed as brave and having created tension. The way we create tension is that we actually turn a lot of businesses down. But we don't just say no. We add value in the process and say, you weren't successful this time, but have you considered this, and that, and would encourage you to apply again at our next intake. So that's a high level of benefits of the program. I'm going to play a short video now. You're going to get a little bit of a French lesson in it, but it helps bring the program to life, and then I'll wrap up my comments.
It's important for Canada to have a strong brand because of the immense competition in the world. Our brand is what fulfills visitors' expectations.
Working together with government, the private sector in Canada has built momentum. We are poised to take advantage of this momentum going forward.
Travelers are looking for experiences that are unique, that are authentic, that are differentiating. The Signature Experiences Collection is an inventory of experiences we'll use to portray Canada in our marketing, our media, and our sales materials. Signature Experiences are those that best exemplify what Canada has to offer, experiences that will truly inspire our customers to choose Canada.
Une expérience touristique, c'est une participation, c'est une découverte de culture, c'est une découverte d'échange, vraiment d'amitié, de prendre connaissance avec le produit.
What experiential travel actually means to the visitors is they get fully involved in the landscape that they're experiencing. They have an opportunity to meet the people, they have an opportunity to see a little bit of life through their eyes while they're traveling.
We think that our guests are able to convey with a real sense of emotion the kind of trip or adventure that they've been on. It's that emotion that is going to really encourage people to come back to Canada, to come back and join us again.
It's important that Canada sell what you can do here. It's not what you can see, but what you can do. And these experiences are really what the brand Canada is about.
Canada's about the environment, it's about the unique atmosphere, it's about the people, it's about all of these great things that make us Canadian.
The Signature Experiences Collection really gives a taste of many different things that Canada has to offer, and many different things that will appeal to a wide range of motivations for why people would want to travel and make Canada that destination of choice.
You're assured when you come to Canada and participate in one of the Signature Experiences that you will leave with that wow factor.
If we offer the travel trade these Signature Experiences, they'll start to include them in their marketing, they'll start to include them in their sales materials, they'll put them in their itineraries, and they'll help us sell Canada to the world.
We look forward to working with our suppliers and sharing our knowledge and expertise, helping them to create those unique experiences. That's our mission and that's our goal, and we believe in our mutual success.
The Signature Experiences Collection will benefit Canada in the world marketplace by differentiating us from other destinations.
The Signature Experience Collection is going to offer the Canadian tourism industry a single voice that's going to allow us to create a much stronger brand image for Canada.
The more products we get out there, the more experiences people know about, the more people will want to come and the more they'll want to come back.
De faire partie du collectif de mise en marché des expériences exceptionnelles, on peut pénétrer les marchés internationaux sur des niveaux beaucoup plus macro.
When we all do well, the high tide rises all boats.
We think we can create a sense of urgency for travelers to choose Canada and to choose Canada now.
Bring it on. Now's the time for Canada to shine.
So I won't spend too much time on how it's going, but I think there's a couple key takeaways nearing the end of my time here. Alignment. In that video, you saw different levels of government. You saw the Parks Agency. You saw French and English, and don't think we haven't had our divisions. We have small businesses, big, massive businesses, receptive tour operators, and others all working together, singing off the same song sheet. Do we have little bits of friction here, there, and everywhere? Absolutely we do. But we lead through those and we manage through those, and it's what we're trying to deliver on to help differentiate our country. Because the competition is fierce, and we can only compete by working together. So I think with that, I won't spend too much time. I'll leave this presentation with you. If the Northern Ireland Tourism Board wants to share it, I'd be happy to have that happen. But for the sake of time, I'll just wrap up my comments now and be very impressed with the journey that you're taking. It's a journey that takes a little bit of time, but I hope I demonstrated with that brand premium that the bottom line, brass tacks, revenue will be there if you deliver on this promise well, and it really helps bring that community engagement to life. So thank you very much for having me here today, and I look forward to answering questions a bit later on.